You.
Okay, great. Yeah, with some earphones. Hey, just some thoughts, reflections on the season without going too deep. And then the follow-up is just going to be, what do you do next, the next couple of weeks, to put that aside and look forward?
Thoughts on the season. Obviously, we had big expectations going into the season. We had all the talent in the world. Everything we needed to be successful. Didn't quite work out the way we wanted. Um, we finished on a strong note. I'm just happy for the journey. Just happy for my teammates, coaching staff, everyone, and all the work we put into this thing. We had a lot of adversity this year. We had a really tough schedule, and like I said, things didn't shake out quite the way we wanted. But I'm just grateful for the year, grateful for the season, grateful for my teammates, grateful for you guys, grateful for the fans, everyone that just embodied everything that we were about this year.
Tim?
Duane, how did you feel you personally played this year, and how does that affect your decision making toward next year and beyond for how much longer you want to play, and is it going to be in Seattle?
Um, I think my season was okay. I had some rough patches. You know, Again, strong competition. You know what I mean? I wasn't at my healthiest at all times. I finished on a strong note against a really good opponent on the road. Feeling healthy now, feeling healthy enough now. You know what I mean? So, I plan on continue playing. Obviously, when I signed my extension here, I said I wanted to retire here. I didn't know what I would feel like at 36. I didn't know what I would feel like finishing my 14th year. A lot of things that weigh out, and I would love to stay here. Obviously, it's a business, and you don't know quite how that's going to shake out. Everything's not in my control, so we'll see how that plans out. But again, I'm grateful for the season. Um, it's like I said, it was kind of up and down at times, but I feel like I did all right.
Jen?
Did you notice an uptick in the second half for the season? What might be the reason for that? And what do you still learn after 14 years in the league?
Um, an uptick, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say what factors played into us kind of getting it turned around in the second half. Um, you just look at our games, even the losses. We had a lot of losses, just a few plays away from turning those into wins. You know what I mean? So just finding ways to close out games, especially over the last month. I felt like we really honed in on that. And as far as like what I can learn, I never stop learning. You know what I mean? Learning about myself, learning about the game. You have guys that you learn from, vets that you learn from. Younger guys that you learn from. I think that's a part of what makes you successful and makes longevity a thing. Is never stop learning. So I learned about a lot about myself this season, and the adversity that we faced. Watching a lot of guys, it was their first time having a losing season. And how they dealt with that, how I could help them deal with that because I've been there before. It was pretty cool.
Michael Sean?
Hey, Duane, when things weren't going well for the team, whether the losing streak in November or even when you guys were officially eliminated from the playoffs, what was unique in the way that Pete Carroll was able to keep you guys engaged, motivated, and believing in one another?
Pete is one of the most consistent people I've ever been around, man. Win or loss, he never wavers in his approach. And he's ultra positive, always finding ways to motivate you, always having fun. That's one thing I'll say about him, and about just his atmosphere in general. The fun is never exiting the building. No matter what the season's like, you still come to work and you're still enjoying the work. You know what I mean? And Pete did a great job of keeping guys in it. It was a lot of times where you didn't quite know where it was going to go, and I've had seasons where we lost 12 straight. You know what I mean? And guys would just start planning their vacations. Guys start checking out. That was never a thing here. And I think he was a big part of that, just keeping guys engaged, keeping everything upbeat and in high spirits.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Two more for you, Duane. John?
Yeah, Duane, with the season Russ had with the injury and then maybe some struggles coming back, what he show you the way he finished the season these last few weeks?
Man, just resilient, man. Again, that's another guy who's just been at the top of his game, throughout his career. Never had an injury, never missed a game. And to be sidelined, I watched him work every day as if he was going to play, with no chance of playing. You know what I mean? And that was admirable. And then he, healed pretty quickly, came back, and there was a lot of talk about, his performance and if he should have played, if he shouldn't have played. He never let that get to him. He blocked it all out. He's very true to who he is. He knows who he is. He's a competitor. He's a winner. And he just showed that week in and week out, no matter what, and he stuck with it. And, I love that guy to death, man, and I appreciate him.
Jackie?
Hey, Duane, now that you've seen this offense kind of turn the corner here towards the end of the season, what do you think this offense is fully capable of when it's fully firing at all cylinders and now under a full year under Waldron?
I think the sky's the limit. I think the guys up front, we had a lot of young guys come in and play, and did a great job for us. We have a lot of veteran leadership. Obviously, I think the run game, you saw, what we're capable of there. I mean, I can't say enough about Rashad Penny and the way he's ran the ball and the confidence and the attitude that he's ran with. You look at our receiving core, one of the tops in the league. The way that, DK and Lockett complement each other, Freddie Swain, the tight end group. And again, Russ is Russ, So I think, Shane did a great job of mixing things up and keeping defenses off balance. Arizona did a really good job of trying to blitz us up, and we made them pay for it, So the sky's the limit. We just, trying to keep guys healthy. And, again, it's just playing with confidence. I think everyone did that.
Last question, Greg.
Duane, at this point in your career, would you be amenable to a one-year deal, go year to year, or are you looking for multi-year?
I'm not opposed to it. Again, it's, I got to weigh my options and see what's out there for me. But no, I'm not opposed to it. I'm realistic, you know what I mean, and knowing, how old I am and, what teams, the factors that teams have and how to go about the business side of it. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's on the table. So, no, I'm not opposed to it.
And what do you think of the NFL 17-game season? Are you in favor of that?
No, not at all. Not a fan. Not a fan. But it is what it is. I'm nobody that can change it. So you just got to adjust accordingly.
Thanks for everything, sir.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Duane. Ethan Posick is up.